is Ghana. The tallest people in Africa can be found in South Sudan. The shortest people in Africa can be found in Central Africa. The biggest producers of oil in Africa is Nigeria. The biggest producers of diamond in Africa is Botswana. The biggest producers of cocoa in Africa is Ivory Coast. The most welcoming people in Africa is Kenya. The country with the most number of pyramids in Africa is Sudan. The cheapest country in Africa is Libya. The country with the easiest visa in Africa is Benin Republic. The richest country in Africa in terms of natural resources is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The country with the toughest visa in Africa is Libya. The most beautiful women in Africa can be found in every African country. The only Spanish-speaking country in Africa is Equatorial Guinea. The cleanest country in Africa is Rwanda. The safest country in Africa is Mauritius. The most populous country in Africa is Nigeria. The country with the strongest passport in Africa is Seychelles. The hottest country in Africa is Mali. The coldest country in Africa is Lesotho. The most visited country in Africa is Morocco. The most romantic country in Africa is Seychelles. The country with the most modern infrastructure is South Africa. The oldest independent country in Africa is Ethiopia. The youngest country in Africa is South Sudan. The smallest country in Africa is Seychelles. The country with the most UNESCO World Heritage Site in Africa is South Africa. The most influential country in Africa when it comes to economy is Nigeria. The most isolated country in Africa is Eritrea. The happiest country with the best quality of life in Africa is Mauritius. The most expensive country in Africa is Seychelles. The largest country in Africa is Algeria. The country with the strongest currency in Africa is Tunisia.